Okay, welcome to Bald&Balding. I am the bald one, Mike.
I'm Ro.
I'm James.
And today we got James Maxstadt. Am I saying that correctly?
Maxstadt, close enough.
Okay. I put on the ad for this that you're a veteran and a veteran author of 20 books, if I count it right on Amazon.
I am not a veteran. I work for the VA. Yep, but the number of books is correct. I just finished the 20th. It should be out hopefully in the next few weeks.
Nice.
You've written 20 freaking books?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
I don't know, man. Come over and count next time.
Oh, God, that would just that'll make me feel bad.
Yeah.
How long have you been writing?
I put the first one out October 2017, so a little over 6 years.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, I write fast.
And you have a life as well, right?
Yep. Yep.
So like you're married with a house and
married with a house that we're fixing up and full-time job, and like I said, I write pretty fast.
Damn.
Wow. So what genres do you write in, James?
I write pretty much exclusively fantasy.
So how'd you get into that?
I just always have been. You know, so I discovered it when I was a little kid. Always read it. I was one of those kids that wrote, stories, and I did it all the way through high school, and then stopped for years and years. And probably the year before I put my first book out, I was reading one of the Writers of the Future's books, the anthologies, and I thought, let me write a story and see if I can get in. So I did that over the next year and got a couple honorable mentions, and then thought, let's write a book. So I did.
Was any part of it, oh, I can do that? Like if you're reading a story going, I could do better than that.
Definitely. And the more I wrote, the more it got that way. There were stories that I read that I would sit there and think, how did this ever get published? And then other stories that I would read that I would go, good Lord, I'm never getting published,
right.
Because some of them are just so amazing.
Yeah. So did you try to go the traditional route, or have you been like straight into the entire time?
Nope. I've tried the traditional route a couple of times. When I very first started doing it with my first book, I did the whole trying to get an agent thing and let it sit for months and all that. I tried one other time, I think, when I put out the book Shriven. And it probably wasn't very politic of me, but I got really frustrated with reading a lot of, we will work with select authors and all stuff like that. So my cover letter was essentially, I am only sending this to select agents.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I didn't hear anything back.
Imagine that.
But honestly, what I discovered when I did it the second time is it took a lot of the fun out of it. I really love writing. I like doing the self-publishing. I like doing the things we do, going to the shows and talking to people and all that. And trying to do it that way took a lot of the fun out. So that was the only other time I tried it.
So when you decided, what was the straw that kind of made you say, right, I'm just going to do it myself? The screw it, I'll do it myself moment.
Impatience, I think, a lot of it. To be honest with you, I had written the first book, Tales of a Nuisance Man. I think by the time I decided to self-publish, I know I had written the second book of the Duke Grandfather series, the first book of Solomon, and I had a book of short stories ready to go. And at that point, I just went, what am I sitting around waiting for?
So how many different, so 20 books, how many different series, how many different entry points do you have for people if they're looking to check out what James Maxstadt has?
5 or 6 if you count the anthology. So I have one anthology of just all different short stories I wrote, mostly fantasy, a little light sci-fi, nothing real heavy. But then I've got 2 trilogies that are related, and then 3 other series that are separate from each other.
You can get the James Maxstadt starter pack.
Yeah, actually, I did that. I put that together as an ebook. It is the first 5 books of each of the series.
Yeah,
It's
That's
only
the cover for
available as
this
an
video.
ebook. It's on Amazon. Yeah, it's there.
That was the thumbnail for this video. I was like, yep, that's what I'm doing. I don't know what series to highlight, so let's highlight them all.
That's perfect. Yeah, yeah. It is a good way to jump in, and what I did is I put in there that if you read one of the books and you like it, go ahead and finish up the series, and then go back to the starter library. Or if you're not wild about that one, turn the page and find a new world.
Yep.
That's a great idea. I've never heard of anybody doing that before, but that's a fantastic idea to put a bunch of number ones together.
I wish I could take credit for it. I took Mark Dawson's course probably 5 years ago now, I think.
The 101 or the ads for authors?
The ads for authors. And it was one of the things he did in there is he took a couple of his, he writes thrillers, if I'm not mistaken. And he took, I don't know, 4 or 5 of his, and he put them all together in like a starter pack. And that was one of the things he taught was, doing that and running ads to it and all that. So I gave it a shot. So
this is not a commercial for Mark Dawson or the self-publishing show, but I listen to it every Friday. If anybody's watching this and you don't listen to it, it's a fantastic podcast. I highly recommend it. So the product that they have, the ads for authors and the 101, what'd you think of that? Was it really without saying, how can we say this without by running a middle line of neutrality here? Is it just one of those things that you need to learn from somewhere and that's just where you pick to do it? Or is it stuff that you could pick up and this saved a lot of time, or no, or what?
I think it had a lot of value in teaching the basics. The problem is Facebook in particular changes things so rapidly and so often that a lot of the information is kind of dated. They do have a Facebook page that, they try to keep things updated and all. For me, I have not been able to really get online sales moving. The best I've ever been able to do with ads is make them break even.
Which is kind of a goal, really. That's your first goal. I think with at least they keep saying it on their podcast that once you buy that, and maybe this is for the 101 and not the course you took, that once you buy it, you have access to it. So when they update it, you still have access to the updates. So you can go back and find out what's new in Facebook, and it won't cost you anything extra. Right?
You absolutely do. You have access to it and all. It's not it is not at all, to my view, it's not at all a fault of Mark or anybody else who works on that. It is the fact that Facebook changes things so often that there's just no way. I mean, they will put things out on their Facebook page. We hear Facebook is doing this, we hear they're doing that, but the course content themselves, I mean, they would have to update it almost weekly.
I put out something on a Facebook page not too long ago, and I went back to it like 2 days later, and it showed like nobody had seen it. Right? It's like, so they're totally randomizing whether or not anybody even sees what you post anymore.
My big question, and I never got an answer to this, was, I'd create an audience of say 750,000 people. And the conventional wisdom was, targeted ads, right? Get people that are interested in what you're selling. And that makes sense. But what I'd end up seeing is after like the first 3,000 or 4,000 impressions, I'd see that the same people were seeing it over and over. And, my question was, are you telling me that Facebook has said out of this audience of 750,000, they've shown it to everybody who would be interested in the first 4 days? That didn't seem likely. And I never really got a good answer to that. And that makes me think that nobody really knows.
It does seem like there's a lot of And it's perfect that you're writing fantasy because there seems like a lot of magic behind the scene, behind the curtain kind of stuff with all of it. I haven't actually put a lot of money into, and when I say not a lot, I mean almost none, into advertising simply because of that. It's like, that you listen to all the podcasts and the people who have done it and who have actually been very successful. And the kind of commonality of it is that you have to take a small stack of cash to learn, and like throw this money away so you learn this lesson, and then throw this money away so you learn this, and eventually you'll figure it out, right? So you'll either figure it out or you'll be sleeping in a box. One of the two.
Right, exactly. And in fairness, I've had my times where I've said, okay, I'm going to take X amount of dollars and I'm going to spend it and not worry about whether or not I'm making it back at all. And I'll get halfway through that X amount of money and go, I am not making any of this back. What am I doing?
You may as well go to a casino at that point.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So there is a possibility of that I'm just not being patient enough and giving it enough time. But I don't know. A lot of times it just feels like throwing good money after bad.
So what do you do?
I lean on selling at shows instead.
So have you engaged with any booktubers?
Not a whole lot. I tried some when I first started this. And after to be honest with you, all of this kind of stuff takes so much time to do, the ads and the trying to get, all of that stuff, that I got to the point I would rather write, so I'd rather put the books out and I'll go to shows and talk to people face to face and sell them that way, at least for now.
So I'll tell you, last year I spent money on ads and I did nothing but make Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg richer.
Yeah.
Got almost nothing back. So this year I said, instead of spending those a few $100s, I said, I'm just going to try to embrace the booktubers. I will mail them copies of my book, hard copies. And you know what? If they read them and give me a review, then I get, their audience to hear about it. And I've done much, much better this year than I did last year. So it really is word of mouth. And every one of them, a couple people, they gave my book a 3. And they're like, I'm not going to do a review for your book because, I don't want to badmouth indie authors. But anyone who gave me a 4 or higher, they pretty much all gave me a review on their channel.
Okay.
And then they do it like, on October's, I read these books. They'll say a little bit about it, and then they'll give you like a dedicated review, and then they'll do the wrap up and mention a 3rd time. Highly recommend booktubers. They're wonderful, wonderful people. And not, like I said, I've not heard of anyone mistreating anyone. Like booktubers mistreating any author in any case. It's like, they're like, I'm not going to do a review. I thought your book was a 2-star. They're just not going to do a review. They're not going to badmouth anyone. So
that's good to know. Did you see an increase in sales from that?
Yes, with an asterisk. I did Spiffbo, the self-published fantasy blog off, which is 300 books go in, and they they have 5 different book blogs that will read them. They'll each pick their best of 30, and then that goes to the finals. And they're 10 of the largest book blogs, and they advertise it. The booktubers advertise it. The authors are on Twitter all the time, congratulating each other. So just by doing that, I joined Twitter in May because they're like, everyone's on Twitter talking about this. I was like, yeah, fine. And I have over 1,400 followers now, and I don't tweet very often, but I more retweet or something. But I've seen a definite increase. 2 of they got me in the Discord servers, which again, I'm too old for this. But 2 of the Discord servers decided to do buddy reads where everybody's going to read the same book, and 2 of them chose my book. So, June, I went to, I think, 1 Comic-Con, and I had, like 80 sales because the people who were buddy reading it bought it. So, it's another avenue, and you don't have to be that crazy involved. You do have to be personable, which is my hardest thing. because I don't like people.
That's why we're writers.
Exactly. But I highly recommend BookTube, and if you want a partial list of booktubers that I've dealt with personally, and I can vouch for being wonderful people, I can send it to you.
That'd be wonderful. I would like to check that out.
And if anyone ever comes on, currently we have 0 viewers, but if they come on, I will send it to them too if they ask.
But you got to ask nicely, because Mike doesn't like people.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I don't know if you're kind of grumpy about it. That might be more my style.
Thought you were going to send me that, man.
I'll send you one, sure.
The hell, you promised, fat man. Come on.
Oh, are they all romance booktubers? Oh, my bad.
But it's the ecosystems with publishing. There are so many of them, right? And with every new writer that kind of appears on the scene like us, there's another booktuber or something else. So I guess there are ways to get yourself out there a bit. It depends what your goals are for it and how much time you have to spend. Do you want to spend the time and money, both resources that are finite, on ads, or do you want to spend the time on building those relationships with people and going to shows and all that? Because the shows that we've been to, every now and then you'll have a good day, right? But even your best show day, if you look at what the hours it's costing you, it's not a sustainable business model, right?
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, what I started doing towards the end of this year, actually I just started doing it a couple of weeks ago, was I took the amount of time it took at a show, the cost, and included hotel costs if I needed them, and divided it out by what I made to see what I'm making an hour at a show. And
pretty grim, isn't it?
Yeah, a few of them I was like, all right, that's okay, and a lot of them I was like, that's disappointing. So but again, it's something I enjoy doing, and I think if I didn't like it, then that would make a big difference.
And it starts to put in perspective for you that when we retire from our day jobs, if you're going to take a crack at this, just how much time you have to put into it. It's like every day you're probably going to segment it and say, okay, I'm going to spend the first hour of my day out doing some social media stuff, and then I'm going to be looking at this and this and this, and then maybe I'll write for a couple hours in the afternoon.
Right. Yeah, it's I think if you try to do this as a full-time, make a living at it, you're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, you've got that burn the boats mentality, right? It's like, okay, I've got to make this happen, and now I've got all the hours of the day to make it happen. So,
right.
And you're in a great place with 20 books already, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's the thing is, I think with every book I write, I get better. It comes a little easier. I don't get as worried if I get tied up somewhere and think, oh my gosh, I painted my characters into a corner. How do I get them out? I'll get them out.
Kill them all.
Yeah, kill them all. Right, start over.
The end.
Yeah. The new book I'm working on, we were talking about traditional publishing, and I may take another stab at that with the new book.
So that poses an interesting question. So over the course of the last, 15 years or so, indie publishing has just taken off like a rocket ship, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think it's going to level out or start going a little bit more back toward that other way just because of all these problems we've been talking about, all the
I don't see any. I don't think so. I think
I don't think it's going to go back to the way it was. Okay, that's not my question.
No, and I don't think we're even going to see it level off that much. I think it's going to continue to explode for a while. 2 reasons. One, romance especially still sells.
Oh my God! Right.
Boatloads.
Have you ever thought, even for a minute, of just trying your hand at it?
I have thought of it, and it quickly went out of my mind again. I don't think I could do it.
Your wife kind of give you one of those "oh hell no" looks.
Well, there is that, yeah, but also I think I have to write what I enjoy. And I can be a pretty romantic person, I guess, but I'm not big into reading romance.
Yeah.
You're not into watching Lifetime for hours on end?
No, not hours on end. I'll watch some of the Hallmark around this time of year with my wife, and I'll admit to that one. But
my daughter and I watch. Do you ever go to Tubi? Tubi?
I don't think so. I've seen it, but I don't think I've done it.
Right. Well, do yourself a favor, or you could take this either way. They do Christmas movies, right, on Tubi.
Okay.
Are some of the worst, best shows you'll ever see. They're just god awful, and we search out the worst ones and find one.
Are you talking Sharknado bad?
Huh?
Are you talking Sharknado bad?
Oh, there was one called Christmas Twister.
Oh my God.
Right? And we didn't make it past the opening title card because they spelled Christmas wrong.
Nice.
That's the kind of movies we're talking about.
Oh, that's awesome.
You'll see these people in these movies. We're watching one the other day, and I'm going, that looks like Morgan Fairchild. And of course, you got to take out the phone. It's like, oh my God, it is, right? It's like that's what they're doing these days.
Wow.
They're making these movies, and they're just plain awful. And they all, after you watch about 3 of them, you know what it's going to be, and you can sit there and start like guessing. It's like, okay, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's like the same 3 dudes writing these things, but they're all very similar, right? and it just makes me think, wow, maybe you could. Obviously, there's a market for this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. Nobody's ever said it's Shakespeare. It's not trying to be Shakespeare.
Right.
It's trying to fill that little niche to make you sit down and watch something and have a laugh and feel good and smell pumpkin spice or something.
Sure.
And maybe you could write that.
Yeah. I'm probably not going to try.
You could crank out 20 books pretty fast like that.
Yeah. There we go.
Change the names and occupations.
Yeah. I will definitely do that under a pen name for sure.
Yeah. Mike Molman.
Yeah.
Are we still just talking amongst ourselves, Mike?
Yep.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So, James, for your covers, do you have one like dedicated artist who does all your covers, or do you jump around? Or
so we've jumped around a little in the past, but lately we have settled on a company called Mibble Art. It's are you familiar with them?
Yep.
They're fantastic. They are very responsive. They do a great job. When I started looking at, actually being able to afford a bit of better covers, one of the things I liked about them was a lot of the other, cover on demand places, you get two rounds of revisions.
right.
And that's it. If you want more changes, you have to pay for it. Mibble Art is, we will keep changing it until you're happy. And there was one book we put out called Full Circle that I did go back to him like 4 times, that the artist just was not getting what I was asking for. So I finally found a similar cover, sent it to him and said, this, is what I'm looking for. Then they got it. But there was never any, any indication that they were getting annoyed or anything like that. They were just like, okay, let us try again.
Yep.
So yeah, and they
4 times is probably not really doesn't rank in their most annoyed customers.
No, I'm sure it doesn't. But that's the most we've had to do. Some of them we've sent back like 1 time, and it's been like, can you change the color of her eyes? Something like that.
Yeah.
It's they've been great, and I will be honest with you, the shows I do, I get a lot of people coming up going, I love your covers. And most of them that they're looking at then are the ones from Mibble Art.
Nice.
So they're also, I don't know if you knew this, they're based in Ukraine.
Are they?
Yeah. When the invasion happened, they sent an email and said, this is where we are. we're safe. We're still doing business. Please keep doing business with us. And I just put in for that 20th book I just sent last week. I just ordered the cover for that book from them. So they're still there, still doing business, and you know.
Do you produce wide, or are you Amazon exclusive?
So I do all my paperbacks through Kindle Direct. I was exclusive to Amazon, so I could have everything in unlimited. But what I've noticed over the last few years is that amount that they're paying for page reads keeps going down and down and down. I finally got fed up when somebody read an entire book, and I think my payment off of that was like $1.20 or something. And I just went, why don't I just go wide then? So I went wide probably 8 months ago.
What do you have to do to go wide? If someone's considering going wide, what should they need to know about?
Well, for me, it was, the first thing I had to do was wait for them to come out at Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
Because you sign up for, 90 days at a time, I think.
Yep.
So as they came out, I went through Draft to Digital, and I just started uploading them to Draft to Digital, which they make it so easy to upload an ebook. It was like I thought there must be more, that I was missing something. But then they just, it's an aggregator, so they just send it out from there to everybody, Apple Books and Kobo and everybody else. So that was it, really.
You have to get ISBNs for them all, right?
No, you do not need ISBNs for ebooks.
Okay.
So even when you do it through Amazon, it'll tell you for the ebook you don't need an ISBN.
Okay. So you still get them print. You still get your print copies though through Amazon.
Through Amazon, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have the ISBN on them, or through them rather. And when you do that, of course, that's only good for books that are through them. Like I couldn't take the books, decide to go to Ingram and use the same ISBN.
Right.
So when you're wide, it's only your digital, only your ebooks are wide.
Right, but my paperbacks, I think, like most of us, are expanded distribution in Amazon. So like if somebody at a library requests it, they can get it.
Right.
If somebody could theoretically, not that it's ever happened, they could go in Barnes and Noble and say, I want this book by James Maxstadt, and they can order it for them.
So I actually tried to go wide last month, and I uploaded my books, and I found out that Kobo and Apple both rejected it because I had in the back, if you like this book, do a review on Amazon. And they're like, oh no, you have a link to, and I fixed it. I deleted it, and they still reject it. And I'm actually running right now. This is the 3rd or 4 days in a row where all my books are free. I was like, I'm not going to be in Kobo or whatever. So I finally just said, you know what, yank them, put them on Amazon, because I get 5 days to put them at free. I'll use 4 up this week.
Right.
And then, attack again after this 90 days is over. Because, I've noticed too, the Kindle Unlimited, the page, it used to be like 45 cents or 0.45 cents a page. And now it's 0.3 something. I did the math roughly, and I was like, no, that's too depressing. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. It
just keeps going down.
Yeah. I don't, I've stopped doing any, 99-cent giveaways. I stopped doing any free giveaways, because what I've seen over the last couple of years is I'll do that and I'll get a bunch of downloads. I've done like some promos through Book Barbarian and a couple other places, and I'll get a bunch of downloads, but then that's it. I'll get a couple sales after that. And, some may trickle in, but I think what's happening is you get a lot of people who just download free books.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't ever read them, and I'm sorry, I work hard on the books. I'm not going to keep giving them away.
So you have a mailing list, right, James?
I do not anymore.
You don't have a mailing list?
That was another thing that I found, that it didn't seem to be worth it. I read books on the best way to do them. I tried to implement those things. I sent out surveys. I sent out free stories. I did all that, and I got no engagement. I tried I did the whole reader magnet thing, and I built up, I don't know, several hundred people anyways, and literally no engagement. You know, I release a new book to the thunderous sound of silence.
Yeah.
So I pretty much deleted that list. I sent out a thing saying, you know, I'm shutting this mailing list down. If you'd like to remain on my new one I'm doing, let me know. And I think I had 1 or 2 people. So I started a new one that was only people that really seemed to want to engage. And same thing, just no engagement. So I kind of went, it was one of those things again. I said, why am I spending my time on this?
Yeah.
So I stopped.
I mean, it all sounds like such a great idea when the people who are telling you it's a great idea,
yeah,
have it working, right?
Right.
But I know exactly what you mean. I do have some people on my mailing list. If I ask a specific question or like a survey or something, I will get some responses.
Yeah.
And it's the same half dozen people.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But you know, I've got like 1,300 people on my mailing list. And yeah, if you're offering them a free book, that's great. And they'll happily download that.
Yeah.
But they're not a lot of buyers. And that's not you know, bagging on people doing that. If they, you know, you're living in a world where people are giving you their work for free, take it. Right.
Yeah.
And people could have, you know, if you're a reader of, you know, a couple dozen books a year or whatever it is, you can get those couple of dozen books for free just by doing a little bit of legwork and joining some of these mailing lists. It's not difficult.
Exactly. And I don't blame people for doing it either. Just, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't do me a whole lot of good. So, you know, I'm not gonna keep putting the time and effort into it. I will tell you a bit of a funny story about that, though. I had a girl come up to me at a comic convention a couple years ago now. She stopped by and she's looking at the books and she tells me, "Oh, I read that book." And I was like, "Oh, you did? It's great. Where'd you get it?" She had downloaded it off a pirate site.
Oh, man.
It took me a good 10 minutes to get her to understand, you know, gently get her to understand that that was a pirate site, that I didn't put that there, that somebody stole the book.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And what do you do about that?
I still don't think she quite got it, but.
Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, we all grew up with, we've all done it ourselves, right? It's just, it's easier for people nowadays to do it through that. But
sure. Yeah.
You guys had Columbia House, right?
Oh, yeah.
Columbia House Record Club.
Oh, yeah.
16 discs for a penny or whatever.
Yep.
And what's the first thing you did when you got those records?
Oh, tape them.
You put them on tape and you sent the records back.
That's right.
It just took a little more effort.
But that was different. That was totally different.
Sure. I was going to say, you have first world problems though, James. I've looked before. I'm like, is my book on any pirate? No one cares enough to try to pirate it.
Yeah, there's not too many of mine either. I found a couple of them here and there, but not too many.
That's soul destroying, isn't it, Mike?
You know, it could be worse. I saw one author who said, you know, the reader magnet they had, somebody had stolen it and they were selling it.
Oh, geez. Nice. Yeah.
Have a pirate site not even think enough of your book to pirate it.
Right.
This isn't even good enough to steal. Oh, no.
You know, I also went to the website that tells you if your work's been used for like AI. They're like, no, your book must be too insignificant. No one's tried to steal it.
Right. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you very much.
Share that site with us. That might be a fun thing to do one day. We'll do it live. We'll check up all our stuff. And
yeah.
I'll have to find it again, but yeah. Yeah, we can check and see who is making money off of my work other than Jeff Bezos.
That's right, because I'm still getting up and going in every day. So,
guys, listen. If I suddenly disappear, it's because my phone dies. So,
oh sure, yeah.
We'll see.
You don't have your wife in the other room giving you an emergency call and she's look, I'm still on this thing in 35 minutes. Call me for the house is on fire or something.
Actually, she's not even here tonight. She's out to play with her sisters. So.
See, but this format that Mike and I do is a lot like a mailing list or anything else, right?
Sure.
We're doing it. We're putting our time into it. We have exactly how many viewers right now, Mike?
0.
Still 0.
Awesome.
And we will put it out there to live on in the electron world. And maybe a few people will take a look at it at some point.
If you guys will get some better guests, then maybe.
I think that's it. I think that's what I was going to say, is we need to start bringing in people to talk to who actually have followers that they can say, hey, I'm going to be on this show, come watch.
I mean, I came on hoping to sponge off of your followers.
Man, no, it's like we're the wrong people for that. All, 46, I think, that we have?
Yeah.
And we're grateful for every one of you, too. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, I've watched a few of them, guys. I think you do a great job with them.
It's we started this whole nonsense. Were we in North Carolina or in Norfolk?
I don't know. You had to convince me, like twist my arm, because I was like,
Yeah,
no, I'm not doing any such thing.
Yeah, it took about 30 seconds.
I don't like people again.
I think we were at Tidewater.
Yeah, that's it. We were at Tidewater.
And we just had all this time. It was like a 3-day show. And we were sitting around, in the hour or two leading up to doors opening, just chatting. And it's like, well, we need to make use of this time that we have, There's got to be something we can do to constructively fill this time. And we said, well, why don't we just go talk to some of the other creators and stuff, and get their story, and we'll just do a little chat with them. And here we are 24, 25 episodes later, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, Ro is being very nice, because when he's like, we need to do this, I was like, you know what? I don't know anything about video editing. I don't want another time suck. I'm not going to do it. And Ro goes, do you ever listen to me? I did this in the military. I've done it at the I've been doing this for 30 years. I'll edit the videos. And I'm like, oh, hell yes. Yes, I'm in.
Yeah, not understanding that doing the interviews is actually a much more involved process. Editing the thing is pretty easy.
Yeah. I'm with you, Mike. I know nothing about editing it. Nothing, I mean, obviously, I had to use my phone for this rather than the computer. So.
And the best thing is, I told Ro when we started, like, be snarky when I screw up, by God, and Mike screwed up again. So that shows up in every one of my interviews.
You didn't actually have to tell me to be snarky. That's my default setting. James is frozen. And such a lovely pose for him, too. He'll be very happy with that.
Maybe we'll switch the thumbnail out to make that the thumbnail.
Oh, James.
That'll drive people in.
This is where we have like 3 minutes of dead air as we wait and see if he comes back, or if he just, maybe. So what are you up to, Mike?
I was going to say,
just understand that James is gone.
James could at least put us out of our misery and just leave us instead of leave us hanging.
He's actually here. He's just holding really, really still. Like, if I stay like this long enough, they'll go away.
So I was going to ask James where he's going to be at next, but I guess I waited too long. Oh, and now he's
gone. All right. So what do you got coming up, Mike? Let's talk about you for a minute. And thank you, James Maxstadt. Go to his site. It is, you say something while I look this up real quick, Mike, because we are just that on top of things. The Worlds of James Maxstadt at jamesmaxstadt.com.
So if you happen to be in the Richmond area and you're watching this before Saturday, so, we're already looking at n equal to 1. I'm going to be at the Hanover Book Festival from 10 to 3. It's at the VFW in Mechanicsville, Virginia. I went last year and I bought 5 books because that's what I needed to do. But they'll have like 30 to 40 authors, and if you buy 4 books, you get your 5th one free.
From you or from anybody?
So they ask all the authors to donate 1 book to the gift table. So if you buy 4 books, then you can go there and select a book as your freebie.
All right.
So I will be there this Saturday, and then you and I will both be at the Harrisonburg Mall. I forget what it's called.
Mall in Harrisonburg. Yeah.
Yes.
Black Friday.
So
be there. Go see it. It's lovely. It's a mall with actual people in it. It's kind of amazing.
You'll see us there, and we promise we're not going to turn our cameras on you.
Well, we don't promise.
Well, I meant the royal we for me. You may do it, but
All right.
I will be. I'll be fumbling so much they'll walk away before I get started. So
Now you are doing something that I'm not doing right now. You are actually writing stuff.
I am editing. I am knee deep in editing, elbow deep actually.
What are we expecting from Mike Molman up down the road?
So, Desperate Dispatches is a collection of 4 novellas. So 4 of my side characters who've met Grommy and didn't die, which is kind of an achievement in and of itself.
Yes, because
They are all going to get their 100-page story because there's so many things that happened that Grommy is not going to be present for, that I figured I could either do Greek tragedy to you and all these amazing things happened off stage, or I could just have a different POV and have these side characters actually go and see the things that happened that lead to All Out War, which is going to be the final book in the series. So this is another novella collection. There's 4 of them.
Yep.
And I sent one off to the proofreader last night. So, and I'm swearing to myself that I am not going to change anything after I go through the proofreaders things, because every time I do that, I just introduce new typos after I've paid for all these rounds of editing.
Yeah.
So therefore one is done. The second one I'm going to send this weekend. So half of my book will be done. And then I just need to get the other 2 back from line editors, and then I'll do the same thing, turn it around. I'm hoping middle of December to launch. Although I did have a booktuber tell me that, if you can not hit, launch the second things are ready, he can get me on his YouTube channel where he has like 1,000 people, and we can actually do a book launch.
Yeah, dude, I would do that.
So I'm going to see if I have the resolve to not hit send as soon as it's done. And
if you want, I can talk to your editor and I can get things slowed down for you so you don't have them back and ready to go. So.
No, see, I did the Kickstarter and I promised everyone I was going to publish in November, which is not going to happen. No. So I'm hoping for December. Okay. I don't know that that's going to happen. I'm hoping. If I do, I certainly won't have physical books before the new year. But
yeah. So you got 4 stories, and altogether, it's pretty much a novel length. I mean, you're going to have nearly 100,000 words.
I think I'm at
4 stories.
About 87,000 words. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like reading a novel, but they're interesting. I've read them. Actually, I'm on my 3rd one right now, and I think it's a really neat way to do it. Instead of just going right to that final book, being able to see all these other kind of side characters in quests that, kind of have something to do. They're just like side cogs that make this whole thing work in the main quest line. And so I think that's a really clever thing you've done with that.
Well, I'll tell you, the first Sins and Sorrows, the first novella collection, is my least popular book by star ratings. And I get when everyone is like, this is interesting, but why do I care? And I'm like, oh, you will absolutely care. You will not know until the final book that this was important. But
yeah,
because what I do for these is I'm like, okay, the whole point of this story is I have to introduce X. But when I write the story, X is not going to be the main part of this story. There's going to be some other plot line that X is going to just wind its way through. So it's never the point of the story. But I'm like, I'm telling you, this is important. You will need this later. And I mean, you don't know that when you read the story. You're like, it's a nice story, but why do I care? And I'm like, finish the series. Then you will understand.
Mike and I are going to start working on his sales approach and his technique for letting people know that this is actually a book you want to read because it's very good. So we'll get to that. You got a little work to do there, bud.
Yeah. Did I tell you I'm not good at marketing? Huh? Did I mention I'm not good at marketing?
We know. But you're good at writing, though, man. So,
I don't know. People tell me that. So let me tell you an unbelievable.
Help me help you.
Let me tell you about an unbelievable event that happened just Monday night. So I'm in Discord server because, people, they do productivity sprints where they work for 45 minutes. They talk for half an hour. Usually that's inverted. But, anyway, so I was like, you know what? I need to get some work done. I'm going to do this. That way I'll force to work for 45 minutes at least. And I got on there, and the one guy's like, oh my God, I'm on a group chat with Mike freaking Molman. I'm like, do I owe you money? Why are you talking like that about me? And and then he's like, okay, I gotta go. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, this sounds so ridiculous to say out loud. I'm like, but I hope I didn't intimidate him, because, oh my God, if I'm intimidating you, I feel sorry for you.
Was it your brother?
It was not.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I mean, he's like, oh my God, Mike freaking Molman. And I told him, you know, my next story, it's going to be, you know, dystopian. It's going to be on Mars. And he's like, oh my God, that sounds perfect. I'm like, great. You're a beta reader. He's like, oh, can I? I'm like, you're doing me the favor here, dude.
You just lost the sale, Mike. You just gave your book to the guy who would have bought it.
Well, you know, I'm hoping that he'll go and buy it anyway. I'll tell him I'll autograph it. Maybe that means something.
There you go. What a swell guy you are. Hey, I know you've been doing some work. Who are we talking to next week?
Next week we're talking to Benghis Khan book reviews.
Benghis Khan?
Ben Khan is his name. He goes by Benghis Khan on
That's
YouTube.
Great. Okay.
And he started last year maybe. And the partial list of booktubers I talked about, when I made that up, I'm like, yeah, Ben, he has like 500 subscribers. And I look now and he has 1,600.
Maybe a few of them will come watch.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll try to I am so bad at advertising. It makes my marketing look good. That I just put out on Facebook at 6:30. Hey, we're going to be interviewing somebody tonight at 7. And I'm like, no, you got to do this a couple days ahead of time.
So someone did watch us last week, and they wrote to me and said that at one point we had 5 people watching us. Now, that someone was my sister. And she said she's not technologically savvy enough, being as old as she is, because she's my older sister, to communicate via chat on a live YouTube thing. And it's probably just as well.
So you know what that means, Ro?
What?
In the all-time tally, we are now tied. Mike, 1 family relative. Ro, 1 family relative who've watched our shows.
Yeah, that's right. 1 episode. We're good. I don't think we should keep anybody who we should have a prize. We should have a word at this point of the show that if anybody actually writes to us with that word, we give them something, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
We'll tell them they have to put something in the comments.
Right. All right. Hey, we'll talk to you next week. Yeah.
Yep. We'll have Benghis on, Ben Khan. He will be very fun. I'm looking forward to talking to him.
All right, cool. It's probably more fun than talking to me. And even though he's not here, thank you to James Maxstadt. Appreciate your time and your computer troubles. And sorry you couldn't be with us till the end, but
JamesMaxstead.com.
You betcha.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.